as the arts are meant to be.
Every week, Green Angle, in partnership with Wild Aid, will bring you a documentary series on environmental issues affecting Nigeria's amazing biodiversity, from climate change, air pollution, and wildlife conservation.
Hello, and thank you for joining the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Esther Mokwariola. Today on the program, knocks for EFCC and presidency over silence on Edu and Halima. A civil society council decries inactivity of Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, calls for appointment of minister to take charge. And later on the show, President Tinubu tells governors to pay wage award until new minimum wage comes into force. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Tunde Abaton. Journalist Hangout starts now. Now let's begin with politics. The current administration is yet to spend a year out of its 4-year tenure. But the drumbeats from the 2027 general election are already echoing. Rumors broke out that the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is strategizing to dump the People's Democratic Party to form a mega party towards wresting power from the ruling All Progressives Congress in 2027. But in a statement posted on his X handle, Atiku denied planning to dump the PDP and affirmed his loyalty to the party. This is not the first time we've heard the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar moving from one party to the other. But does this really change anything, this statement that he's put out there? Does this really change anything at all? What do you make of this?
I think that since he left the APC, he's been faithful to the PDP. He has not shown any sign of wanting to dump the PDP. So we've seen him contest in 2 electoral cycles on the platform of the PDP. The 2019 election, the 2023 election. So I do not believe that he has plans to leave the PDP. Maybe his desire to see that opposition parties come together to challenge the ruling party is what has been misinterpreted to mean that he wants to dump the PDP. But I don't think that's the case. I have no evidence that that is the case. I think that Atiku is convinced now that if they had stayed together in 2023, they would have won the election. And statistics don't lie. The opposition parties polled in excess of 14 million votes. Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu polled 8.7 or something in their region, not up to 8 million, not up to 9 million votes, which is a hefty difference. If they had stayed together, no doubt about it, they would have won the election. You can imagine if Obi had delivered the Southeast to an Atiku Obi ticket. It would have been a big difference maker because the people of the Southeast came out for Peter Obi, somebody who could not win his local government in the governorship election that during Obiano's contest for a second term. Peter Obi brought out a candidate and he was defeated in his local government. Again, it happened when Soludo contested, he was defeated in his local government. But in the last election, the people of the Southeast came out for him, and he thoroughly dominated the election in those places. So the point that I'm making is Atiku now sees clearly that mistakes were made in the last election, that if they had come together, they will have won this election easily. When they talk about rigging and some of the nonsense that they were saying, I always remind them that you do not expect that 5 governors will rebel against their party, and it will not affect you. You do not expect that a Kwankwaso, just because of an elective position, party elective position, they quarreled with him, he left the party. Look at the way he dominated the election in Kano. You know, you can imagine if Atiku had those votes in Kano. That's an extra 1 million votes for him. You know? So people ought to learn from, learn lessons from things that happen to them. Yeah. So it's like Atiku is becoming wiser now. You know, a person who has taken part repeatedly in elections, by now, Atiku should actually have a professorial chair in electoral contest in our country. Honestly. Because he's clearly the most dominant
candidate in every election.
And litigant as well after an election. So now perhaps he's thinking of, yes, why don't we come together? But if a Peter Obi had said, okay, if a Peter Obi says, Waziri Atiku Abubakar, step down for me, I'm the younger person, will he agree? That is why the ruling party will always feel that, look, these opposition elements can't come together. Because selfishness, greed for power will not let them come together. I remember how Kwankwaso was asked whether he would step down for Peter Obi before this last election. And he described this as an insult. To ask him that question, whether he would step down for Peter Obi, he deemed it an insult. You know? So that's the way they reason. They think the Nigerian politician is a rare breed. He thinks only about himself and his family. When he steals, he's stealing from members of his family. And that's why even when they get to power, get to the corridors of power, they are thinking about themselves, they are stealing for themselves, stealing for members of their family, stealing for what in their view is posterity. It's not posterity that you are stealing for. You have just been silly. Because if you are patient, you will give yourself immortality. It's better to give yourself a good name, serving the people, than get a bad name, stealing for yourself and for members of your family. So for me, Atiku will remain in PDP. And if you ask me whether Atiku would like to contest the next election, I can bet with everything that belongs to me in this world that if Atiku is alive, he can still breathe in and out, he's going to contest that election again. Atiku is focused on perennial contestation.
What's your thoughts on this, Mr. Tunde?
Well, in politics, nothing is impossible.
Right.
And because we have 3.5 years between now and 2027, there will be alignments and realignments. But the core thing, like Jide said, is that what I've discovered about our politicians since after the Second Republic is that they were not pursuing any good thing for the people, but it is about them. First about them, second about them, then lastly about them. It is not about ideology. That is why you see somebody be in PDP this evening. In the following morning, he may announce that it's in APC. If joining the APC will satisfy his own personal aggrandizement and political goal. So the goal is not about the people. As for Atiku, I think that, well, if he feels like it could be more honorable or more enduring to institute a professorial share in any of the universities, to endow a share in any of the universities in Nigeria, so that they can learn about the need for patience in politics and how to run the race. But one thing that is clear is that in economics, they say all other things being equal. But in Nigerian politics, I don't see all of that things being equal. Because the PDP, as you see today, the younger elements who are the governors from the northern states, I can't see them deciding to bury their ambition for somebody who will be over 80 years old. What happened last year is not likely to happen in 2023, even though that will not stop anybody from still 27. That will not stop anybody from contesting for the primaries of the party. But what I know will change is that some governors on the PDP from the northern part of the country who believe that they can deliver, who believe they are younger, they are concerned about their own future, not about the future of somebody who is angling to see the party besetting him. Because everything is about the fact that even if there's a sort of alignment today, right, the alignment will be formed around the ambition of somebody, and that may be detrimental to the ambition of others too, who are also in politics to fulfill a particular goal. So, like I said, nothing is cast in stone, but the fact remains that we are not likely to, except what happened in 2015, we are not likely to see any rainbow coalition in Nigeria that will succeed. The only thing that can make it succeed is that if politicians, if opposition can bury their personal ambitions and look at the nation, right, and an ideology, right, it could succeed. Right. But except the more personal ambition still determines what they do, I can't see it succeed.
It could be a mirage. Well, let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where no matter the situation or environment, the woolly leopard never changed its spots, just like he did during the immediate past administration. A Kaduna-based Islamic cleric, Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, has told President Bola Tinubu to negotiate with bandits who abducted about 287 school children from Kuriga Government Secondary School and Leah Primary Schools in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. Gumi also offered to negotiate for the release of the abducted school children if President Tinubu gives him the opportunity. BKO, many have said, why negotiate with bandits? And he might have his own reasons. But first off, what are your thoughts on this call for negotiation with bandits? Is it not promoting such criminality? What are your thoughts?
Every time I hear about this, I get angry because such talks show us as a country to be cowardly. I don't know any country that negotiates in the manner, especially that they want us to negotiate with bandits. Are supposed to take them out. These are non-state actors. They are not bigger than the state.
Absolutely.
Where the armed forces have been provided with the tools that they need, where the armed forces have the right strategy, the right approach to the problem, these guys, in a short time, will be history, honestly. But we've chosen not to do the right thing. We've chosen to confront this problem in a piecemeal manner. And you cannot achieve your aim by adopting the current approach. We've gone back to doing it the way the last administration was doing it. Okay, we'll go and today we are going to Kaduna State. Let us go and attack them in Kaduna State. Sometimes before you even get there, they are aware that you are coming. They move into the contiguous states to Kaduna. Meanwhile, your whole effort has been concentrated on Kaduna. They fled. The horses have left the stable. So, for me, I don't believe in negotiating with these guys because of what? When you negotiate with them and they say, okay, we are giving up banditry, it's only for a time. They come back.
Because you've tasted something better.
2 times.
Right.
2 times, Katsina State negotiated with these bad guys. I personally went to interview those bandits in 2018. I interviewed those bandits.
And what did they tell you?
They said, no, we are not going to kill people anymore. the town that I went to see them is called Shimfida. I can't go there today. Because that was where they killed our soldiers, led by a captain. They wasted those soldiers. The first time, they did it again. They have a camp in that community that they've refused to give up. So you negotiate with them, you give them some money to rehabilitate them. They wait for some time. When the kind of money that they used to make from banditry is not forthcoming, they go back to banditry. These are not people of honor. All we do is, and what I think Gumi and others like him want to see is, okay, they'll kidnap these guys, negotiate, give them money, let them release the people in their hands. You give them money to release the people in their hands, they won't stop kidnapping people. The only way to stop them is to take their lives. This is the fact.
But then again, it also raises a question of what fuels banditry, because we know that poverty is one of these factors. So if this is also handled, perhaps we'll have a dwindling effect of this banditry in these states, won't you think?
It's easy to talk about poverty as a fueling banditry. Is there no poverty in Lagos, for example?
Not compared to the northern region.
Oh, who told you?
In most areas visited, I think I've seen some areas that doesn't even have government presence.
Okay, if it is just, even from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics figures, about 130 million Nigerians are poor, multidimensionally poor. Are all of those people living in northern Nigeria? I mean, it's convenient to say, oh, I can tell you the history of banditry in the north. Banditry began as a response. A lot of these guys now used to be herdsmen. They had their cattle. Right. Cattle rustling. They were victims of cattle rustling. In anger, they took to banditry. Go and listen to the interview that Daily Trust and BBC conducted with those bandits that they visited. And the ones that I visited, even before BBC and Daily Trust interviewed bandits, I had interviewed them years before them. The story is not like they are, oh, because we are poor, this and that. No. They felt that, okay, some people have stolen our cattle. When we report to the police, we do not get justice. Police will also still extort money from us. In anger, they too. It's like, if you can't beat them, join them. That's the main trigger for banditry in northern Nigeria, not because people are poor. Okay, in Kano, Kano, Jigawa, are all the people in Kano and Jigawa, are they all rich? How many times do you hear about banditry in Kano, kidnapping in Kano? Yet it's the biggest town in northern Nigeria. It is the only state that rivals Lagos in terms of population. It's a commercial center with people coming all the way from Central African Republic to come and trade in Kano. How many times do you read about abductions in Kano? No, I'm asking. If this year or even last year you read about it, let me know. Jigawa is one of the poorest states in Nigeria. I can confirm. Do you often read about abductions or banditry in Jigawa State? So it's not, you can't tell me that, oh, it's Katsina, Kaduna, Katsina, I mean, Zamfara, that they are the only ones where you have people who are multidimensionally poor. These guys are criminals, pure criminals. And for Sheikh Gumi to be aligning with them, working with them, he has to look at himself in the mirror.
So what do you think the government should do at this point?
Government should not negotiate. Take their lives.
I'm talking about Sheikh Gumi in this instance now.
No, he should be ignored. They should ignore him. He's been trying to get government to negotiate with these people. Look, he gave the example of what happened to the train passengers. Train passengers, let me tell Nigerians what happened. Those train passengers, each of them paid 100 million for his freedom. The Pakistani amongst them paid 200 million. The bandits told them, go and bring foreign currency, and you must not collect it from one broad exchange operator. Now, some people, some of the ones who could not pay, what did government do? Government set up a committee led by that professor who used to be in health insurance, the one that was fired at health insurance, who you can see going from TV to TV station blowing grammar, impotent grammar. That was the man who headed that committee that midwifed the release of the last set. Of course, if I didn't ask you, you know what happened. Those guys were paid. It's not as if Prof could speak excellent Hausa that he stood before the bandits and said, see, you have to release these people, and then they released to him. Who will listen to him? They had to pay them. That is what he's suggesting again. Gumi is suggesting that what happened with those train passengers, that they should do it this time around too. How much longer are we going to continue? Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government must defeat banditry. Right. Otherwise, people will judge his time as president as a period when we could not defeat insecurity. He knows that that is something that he has to take seriously. He has to win the war. Absolutely. You win the war, these boys will go under. I always talk about what happened in Sri Lanka. The government defeated Tamil Tigers. When was the last time you heard that Tamil Tigers killed anybody?
Long time ago.
Since that time.
Right.
That was the end. They killed them right to the last man. That's what we want to see. Kill Dogo Gide, kill the rest of them.
T.A., your thoughts on this? How much longer do we think we can continue with this trend if the government isn't ready to handle this?
Well, as long as we continue to adopt the same approach that the previous government adopted, then we'll continue to have the same answer to the problem. Which means, the more you keep somebody that is in possession of arms or means of arming himself for a very long time to be a free man, the more he has the added capacity to commit more crime. You see, it is unfortunate that Gumi is coming out again. This is the second government that is saying that he has the right or he has the privilege or the capacity to negotiate. Why him, among all many other prominent northerners who can actually do that thing? Number two is that what the impression it gives you is that banditry and kidnapping is a premeditated action for a particular end for which many people do not know. Because when somebody keep on besetting himself at the face of negotiation, then you know that something is amiss. Then government has to do something that is even different from that particular thing to nip the thing permanently in the bud. Another thing is that if they have the capacity to always come out every time to hold government to ransom, it means that government is not capable or has no political will to destroy them. It is complete extermination. Except when you uproot a tree, if you cut it from the branches or you cut it up, it will still grow. Right. There are some trees that can live for 100 years. But the moment you refuse to uproot it, no matter what it costs, I think President Tinubu has to display enough political courage. Because before you know it, if you should commit the whole force of the Nigerian military to do this thing, some people keep on saying that they are killing some people. But yes, criminality is not confined to the north. It is all part of Nigeria. Right. The way Brigadier General Buba Marwa has been fighting drug in Nigeria, let somebody, the DSS of the army, fight banditry like that. If they do same way, we are likely to have different results. And mind you, all the Renew Hope program of President Tinubu cannot have any meaning if people cannot go to the farm. To farm. If Nigeria cannot produce food, no matter the amount of money you give people to go and farm, if their lives cannot be protected, they cannot farm, and you can know the results. So far, we continue doing that. then we continue. Some people continue saying that we should start importing food into Nigeria. And as it is today, I always tell people that the problem of Nigeria is not hunger. It is inflation that is beyond description, caused by a lot of factors, among which is an average Nigerian is ready to exploit the next person. So I think this government, once and for all, have to take a decisive action and uproot every element of banditry in all parts of Nigeria, no matter what it takes.
Right, but before we get to that, some are even suggesting perhaps he needs to be arrested, as Sheikh Gumi, for instance.
Well, I always tell, like I said the other time, if the action is not premeditated, why him all the time? What are the interests? What has he got? What language has he been speaking? Or that he is capable of speaking to these people, that it is only him that they will listen to. Then if we are able to discover that, or ask that, then we know why the reason why it's always the only person coming out every time to say that, let me negotiate with them. Then there's something amiss, because there's a saying in my place that the leaf that is dancing on the surface of the water, the drummer is beneath the water. Right. Except you get to the drummer, you are not likely to exterminate or wipe away the water handset. Because now, banditry has become a handset that we have to remove. And those people drumming for it, supporting it, now that they hear that the man has said that I want to negotiate, they will be happy again. Because out of every negotiation, somebody is benefiting.
Right.
Of course.
As we go on a very quick break, you're still on to the Journalist Hangout. We'll have more discussions coming your way in just a moment. Just stay with us. Welcome back. You're still on to Journalist Hangout. Now, the current economic hardship in Nigeria can be likened to an emergency, which requires proactive measures to tame it. Some civil society organizations, CSOs, are lamenting over the ripple effect of investigation into the allegation of fraud that rocked the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management. Now, the Civil Society Council has blamed the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the presidency for the seeming silence over the suspended minister, Betta Edu, and the national coordinator of the National Social Investment Program Agency, Halima Shehu. The group decries inactivity in the ministry, citing the stampede recorded in Lagos on the 23rd of February during the sale of subsidized rice by the Nigerian customs as a fallout. Or they called on the president to appoint a minister to take charge. And let's hear from the officials of the group.
Recent approval secured delivery of a vital humanitarian intervention by the Bola Tinubu-led government through the Nigerian Customs Service in the sales of confiscated rice at giveaway price to caution the hardship caused by the soaring cost of essential food items in the country. The council is saddened that these good intended gestures of government witness unexpected casualties. The council equally observed the inactivities of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, which could be attributed to the scandal crisis that rocked the ministry, leading to the suspension of the former minister, Betta.
Right, BK, seeing the unfolding developments since the suspension of Betta Edu and the concerns that perhaps what happened in Lagos could have been managed if there was a minister. First off, what are your thoughts on this demand? And do you think there will be any change, or there could be any change whatsoever in the ministry?
I think it's a very valid demand that they've made. Since January 8 or so, when Betta Edu was suspended, There has been no update of any sort. Nigerians have been left in the limbo. Nobody is briefing us. We are now aware, we are hearing stories that there was a preliminary report, submitted to the president. We have no means of validating that claim, whether there was an interim report or whatever. But one thing is true. A time like this, when Nigerians are going through a lot, because things have worsened by way of inflation in our country since the time when it was suspended. The price at which we were buying goods and farm produce in January, first week of January, is not what we are buying it now. So the point I'm making is Nigerians need help now more than at any other time. And that is the job of that ministry. That ministry was designed for that purpose, to be the vehicle through which the ordinary Nigerians can be reached and their pains assuaged one way or another, either through palliative grains or other means of helping the people ease their pain. Now, what these guys are saying, we didn't get the whole story. I thought they will show us
the entire story.
The entire story. That's Abida's story. But our people, they can be up to their game sometimes, and you'll be wondering what's going on. Once you're in the studio, you can't go and do it for them. As we speak today, not less than 10 billion cash is locked down in that ministry. That kind of money will go a long way in easing the pains of our
Nigerians,
people.
right?
Can buy grains, distribute to our people. And everyone knows about Betta's energy, because before she contrived to put herself in the mess that she put herself. When your gra is too much, you eventually find yourself in trouble. Betta was the minister. Halima Shehu was the CEO of NCPA. You are going to run NCPA. Whereas you are not the CEO. You are not the implementer of the goals of NCPA. You are just a minister. She had forgotten that her role is just the role of a minister. She became the CEO of NCPA, helping herself to the funds of NCPA, transferring NCPA funds. No minister, and I say it on live television, no minister has the right to dip his hands into the funds of his ministry and personally coordinate transfer of funds to private individuals. It was a strange thing to do. I give her credit for the, she has energy, she moves around. But even that can put you in trouble because she didn't know where to stop. Got to the ministry, the PAMSEC that she inherited. These were people who were familiar with the workings of the ministry because it was a new ministry created in 2019 or so. You could have allowed the PAMSEC, for example, to show you the way. This is the way it's done, man. And the directors, in no time, they sent the PAMSEC packing. Started juggling directors here and there. I don't want to go into some of the things that I know about what transpired. You understand? But the point that we are making is that ministry needs somebody to be put in charge. We can't continue like this. that ministry should be the one that is leading the charge to ensure that our people's pains
are assuaged.
assuaged.
Yeah.
It should be the ministry that stands in front.
The borderline.
Yes, this is where we are going. And they have the tools, they have the resources, they have warehouses all over the place, you know. They can make this happen. They've done it in the past. They've done conditional cash transfer. Many of us opposed it, but I'm happy that to an extent they discontinued
Handout.
physical handout of cash, and then the digitized part of the operations. We thought that would have continued before better, out of overzealousness, something that you could have been patient and let Nigerians reap the benefit of your energy, your hard work. You just allow things to get into your head. And that's why we come here, we tell them, look, you as a minister, this is not your work. You can't go, you are not the CEO of NCPA. You can't go there and be moving their funds to this place, going as far as even seeking permission to move funds to a private account. No, now, what's going on in our country? We know what the law says, but we deliberately go against the law. Now, the people are paying for it. President Tinubu needs to take a decision. We can't wait indefinitely.
Right.
You get my point?
Right.
And that is what those guys are saying. Appoint somebody in the interim. If you don't want either Halima and Beta Edu, that ministry is too important in a difficult time like this to just be left alone like that. No. Let's solve that problem. Update Nigerians on where we are going. You must run the government like a transparent one. We can't do things like they used to do it. Let Nigerians know that, okay, this is a government for them. This is what we are doing. We have investigated these people, this person. This is our recommendation. If we want to recommend prosecution, go ahead and recommend it. Let's put a closure to that matter and put someone in charge who will now lead the charge to ensure that our people are helped out of the problem that they found themselves in.
Right. TA, your perspective on this matter, I presume you also share the same sentiments with
Well, I think we don't even have to go far.
Right.
In January, when the president set up, when the minister was removed, he set up a tripartite committee comprising the Minister for Finance and 3 other ministers to meet and recommend what should be done to the NCIPA. And he gave them 6 weeks within which to submit their report. This is March. January to March is about 10 weeks or 12 weeks. So the committee should have come out with a particular report and a recommendation to the president. And I want to believe that this president is not a kind of president that will get a white paper on something and put the white paper inside the locker, so that with the passage of time, the white paper will become a brown paper. So he let him act on the report, because he gave them 6 weeks within which to submit their report, about 4 ministries headed by the Minister for Finance. Let them come out with their report and give Nigerians an alternative, because this is the time that ministry is needed in the affairs of Nigeria. During the time of emergency, we are in a period of critical emergency in Nigeria. So before those people who are considered to be average become very unbearably poor, let us come to their aid with the activities of this ministry, especially with the money that is accruing to that ministry by every month when the money is released to a particular ministry. Let them use the money for a particular beneficial end. So by keeping silence, it could also mean consent. It could also give the public the impression that, like every other thing, it's about to be swept under the carpet, and Nigeria will just move on. Nigeria cannot afford to just move on like that. Right. Whatever happens, I don't believe any minister is bigger than the Nigeria. No minister is bigger than Nigeria. By the fact that the woman is a very young woman. She represents a particular gender, a particular age group in Nigeria that have been clamoring that they are out of government. Let Nigerians know whether this particular age group are prepared or not. And if she's not a proper representative, let somebody who's young element like her, let the president bring another young element so that to show, and that person will now show to the whole world that Nigerian youths are capable of leading a ministry that will impact the life of Nigerians.
Talking about recommendations already, there's one Dr. Adenike Teju-Oshu that has been put forward by someone, by a group of PWDs, that she could perhaps take over from better.
Well, I think recommendation should not be out of emotion. I think the President Tinubu has a way of selecting and appointing people into offices. Let anybody that is so recommended go through that particular process, by which the person will be deemed to fit into his own goal of making sure that there is better life for Nigerians. Not the better life we have in 1986, but better life for Nigerians this time around.
Indeed. Let us quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where one of the major thrusts of the administration of President Bola Tinubu is social investment to alleviate suffering of the people. As such, President Tinubu has told state governors to continue to pay their workers' wage award till conclusion of negotiations on new minimum wage. BKO, just about before we came for this discussion, I understand that the Niger State government has approved the payment of 20,000 naira wage award to civil servants. A good way to start, wouldn't you say?
Yes, others have been doing it. Kwara, been doing it. Jigawa. So, and it's one of the demands that Labour made. The only thing I quarreled with is Labour's the way Labour couched the demand. Labour said the president should ensure. Oh, no, not ensure. The president should compel
in the democracy,
the state governors and private employers to do the wage award. President Tinubu said something on this matter. He said, I am not ordering you.
Yes.
I'm only
appealing to you.
It was the removal of subsidy that made these governors to have a lot more money to play with. Now, we've seen governors like the governor of Ekiti State, for example, is increasing the subvention to institutions in the state, to the judiciary, is doing a lot more. He's come up with a stimulus package that runs into billions of naira because he has excess money and he has conscience. Because you can't continue to operate the way you used to operate when you are receiving far less. It will be unconscionable of any governor to behave like that. You have more funds now. If you are a governor who has come, who is intent on performing, this is the time when we will know you. If you can't perform now, even if they give you the whole of Nigeria, they open our national till and give you a loan, you will not perform, you will still fail. Because right now they have more funds. They can do these cash awards, it won't hurt them. So the president has not got the power to compel. I don't know what was going through the Labour leaders' minds when they were saying compel, as if they've not read the Constitution before. Compel as in what? Even if he's older than the governors, he's not a sergeant major who will just be driving people around. No, now, he can't. He can only say, gentlemen, please, let's do this. And that's what he has done.
Right.
And he has said, okay, until the new minimum wage kicks in, let's make sure we pay these people. It will go a long way. It will help.
To ease the suffering.
But it's workers. And workers, members of NLC, they are just 5% of the Nigerian population.
True.
So there has to be other things that we'll do for our people. I'm happy in this holy month of Ramadan, I've seen what some governors are doing. They're spending a lot of money to feed people during this Ramadan. Ramadan will go. After Ramadan, we can scale it down, but we must continue to help our people, because our people need help at this time. So this is just one of the steps that can be taken, which the president suggested to these people. But I believe that they can do more to ease the pain of our people. Leaders have the character of empathy. A leader who does not have empathy is not a good leader. One of the key qualities a good leader must have is empathy. If you cannot show empathy to your people, you are not a leader. You are just pretending to be one. So we need to help our people at this time, and I hope that all of the governors, including the ones who have not considered paying these cash awards, I hope that after the president's admonition, they will go ahead and make this cash award 20,000. We can say it's not a lot of money, but people will be happy to receive it.
Yeah, and in terms of doing more from what you said and what you're analyzing, what would you propose? Because people will say, you know, this cash award is just for a temporary measure. Perhaps let's look at the long-term measure. What would you say should be a solution to this lingering crisis?
Transport subsidy, for example.
Right.
Transport subsidy, the type that Lagos State said it was going to institute when we had that media chat. I think what I will do now is to get our reporters to find out whether they've actually going to implement it. Because if they will implement it, it's a good thing. Ogun State bought some buses, luxury buses, CNG-enabled buses, even taxis. They bought them, and they are cheaper. The only problem is our people are impatient to wait until the bus is full before it goes maybe to Sango or wherever. They will rather enter another vehicle. So we have to find a way. Maybe government can help taxi drivers, for example, subsidize the conversion kits so that they can have CNG. It is not what government should be thinking of making money from. You have to subsidize the conversion kits and make it available to those taxi drivers so that they too can reciprocate by bringing down
the prices,
the cost of transportation, because it's one big problem that our people are facing. If there's anything that is taking away people's money, it's not just food or transport costs. So apart from food, they can look at what's it called, transportation, and see what they can do. We showed the governor of Borno State a taxi ride in Borno in their electric cars is 50 naira. Yes, we showed it there. I think two Sundays ago. That's a governor. And it's not the richest state in Nigeria. You know, but look at what he's doing. That's another intervention. 50 naira. They said in the past it was 200 naira that some of them could not move around. Now it's 50 naira. And those cars are very clean. They are very neat. So who will not be happy to pay just 50 naira for a drop? If they do that in Lagos, a governor who does that in Lagos, they will canonize him.
In Lagos, you cannot compare Lagos to other states. You know our numbers are quite huge.
Let them start from somewhere. Let's not say that it's impossible. Lagos is the richest state in Nigeria. You know, let them. He has already said he has done some level of subsidy. Well, if you can even still go down, that is the point. We are Oliver Twist. So someone can look in that direction. It's not a bad idea.
Absolutely. Tia, your perspective on this, especially as you know, Nigerians are demanding more from not just the federal government, but their state governors as well.
What I just think is that one of the direct causes of high inflation we have in Nigeria, especially on transportation and food, is the fact that there are no infrastructures. No amount of money you pay anybody. If the farmer or the woman selling tomato from K2, if he has to pay about 5,000 naira to take tomato to Agege, he will pass on that money onto the consumer. But if there are infrastructures, like now there's no rain now, because I'm so concerned about this thing, especially in this southwestern part of Nigeria that you can see every day. I can't see anybody doing any action, because it's not about giving people money. It is about providing infrastructure that will ease the pace through which traders and others pass on to the people. So let them do more of infrastructure before the rain. Now that the rain comes now, they keep on telling you that the rain is not allowing them to construct roads. Especially in State, our governors in the Southwest, especially, they should stop embarking on esoteric projects that has no meaning to the people. They should do projects that will help the president, that will help bring down the cost of living of the ordinary people. How many people go to the airport, travel by airport? Thank God that Lagos State has two-rail system now. Let us see another state in any part of the country, like Kano, like River State, like Bauchi State, like Oyo State.
FCT is running now.
FCT is running. Let them have such things that will bring down the cost of living, of moving from one place to the other. Because like we said, that cash award, I even find this so ridiculous that the president has to come out to appeal. Because yes, he's not a military man, but naturally, he was appealing to the conscience
of the governors.
That please do something about the money in your fund. Between now, I know of a state in the Southwest, they used to collect 3 billion every month before the withdrawal of subsidy. Now they are collecting about 5.5 billion every month from the federation account. What are they using that money for? The 2.5 billion. You cannot use 500 million out of it for palliative. 2 billion, use it to provide infrastructure. Gather young people, give them implements, like they are doing in Borno State. Mm-hmm. So all these little things, the cumulative effect of it, it will have a multiplier effect on the cost of living of the people. And when there is multiplier effect, you can imagine what will happen. There's no reason for Nigeria not to have enough eggs. There's no reason for Nigeria not to have cassava. There's no reason for Nigeria to be importing rice from Benin now. There's no point. Let all those governors who claim to have cleared thousands of hectares of rice, at least rice is about 4 months, let it come out now. Let them begin to do things now that the rainy season is setting in. So the cumulative effect of all these things will reduce the suffering of the people, and it will reduce the work of the president. Right. I always tell people that people should not be talking about president. We have 36 state governors in Nigeria who are collecting money from the federation account. We have 774 local governments. If a local government in my village collects money, it won't give contract to Julius Berger or to PW. It will give contract to the local people. And when you give contract to the local people, the money will have multiplier effect. So not everybody will be shouting about president. It is not about the president. It's about the 36 state governors and 774 local governments areas that share money every month. That they don't. Most of them don't deserve it. They are just drawing money every month. Let them use the money to alleviate the suffering of the people. It's not the president that will be distributing rice to the people. It is the governors and the local government chairmen that should be doing that.
Well, that's where we'll leave our discussions. Gentlemen, thank you so much, Tunde Abaton and Babajide Kolade Otitoju, for your insights on Journalist Hangout. Well, that's it, folks, on today's episode of the program. You can watch a repeat broadcast of it tonight at 11. You can also join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Makwariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Everybody they follow you go market this morning.
We go. It don't reach where these boys them go collect their vaccination.
But Peter and John, they no be small pikin.